sack to law, you're going to be playing behind the chains. So, we're establishing the run, and that's kind of the basis of every offense in the league.
Did you think it was a kind of a step for your growth on Sunday when you had chances to try and make some throws that maybe might have in the past, but it looked like you were more patient? I don't know. I mean, is that a fair assessment? Do you think that this was a game of growth for you?
Yeah, you can say that. I think, knowing the kind of, as a quarterback, you just always have to know the kind of game that it is. And, when you're running the ball the way you are and when the defense is playing the way that they are, you don't take those chances down the field when maybe you would have when you're down 10 points. The defense might not be playing as well or you're not running the ball as well. But as a quarterback, you have to be able to adapt to the kind of game that it is every single week. And the kind of game that it was on Sunday, we just had to take completions, move the chains, and score points, whether it was field goals or touchdowns. So that's what I did on Sunday, and it turned out well for us.
Zach was saying he knows that you know that, but the more you do it, is it kind of easier to figure out what kind of game it is and how to respond?
Yeah.
The more you do it?
Yeah, I think, that was one of the first games like that we have won since I've been here where, I could just take my completions, move the chains, score points, and, we come out with the win. And you see what happens at the end. When you do that, it puts pressure on the defense because they want to get off the field, so they start, pressing and maybe playing a little bit more man. And credit to them, they were patient and made us work for it. But some other defensive coordinators and some other teams might get tired of us just taking completion, 4-yard completions all the way down the field. That's what we did on Sunday.
Seems like defenses are doing things a little bit differently than they've shown on tape when they play you guys as a tribute to the skill players you've got and everything in it. I know it changes week to week, but how difficult does that make it to prepare for a team knowing that, man, what you almost have to guess what they may adjust to and adjust to adjustments before you can start playing the game? I mean, what's that process like?
Yeah, as a quarterback, that just goes back to being adaptable. You gotta be ready for everything because the guys we have on the outside, we're going to see some wrinkles that they might not have shown throughout the rest of the year.
How do you feel like your game has evolved from week 1 to now?
I think I'm getting better each week. I know everyone likes to look at the stats and all that, but we're efficient. We're moving the ball. I'm excited about where we're at. Obviously, there's going to be ups and downs throughout the year, but as an offense, I think we're growing, finding out who we are, and excited about where we're at.
Is there a certain aspect of your game that you've been most pleased with the development from the start of the season to this point?
It's tough to say right now. That's probably a question for after the season.
Joe, what does the expression getting the ball out on time mean to you, and how important is that against a team like the Steelers with T.J. Watt back?
Just understanding what you're looking at from the defense, understanding where you have to go with the ball depending on the defensive look. If you're going to get confused, you're not going to get the ball out on time. So it comes with preparation, and in this division, every team feels like every single week we're talking about pass rushers. In this division, you got to get the ball out quickly to have a chance.
I was going to say, is that necessary? Is it more than just a quick release in terms of getting the ball out on time?
Yeah, that's probably the last criteria for getting the ball out quickly. It's understanding. It's all mental.
How have teams adjusted to how they guard Jamar, and what's then the next step for you guys to, react to the adjustment?
It depends on the team. We're seeing a lot less man than we usually do. And it's not just Jamar. We got TNTB. I think that's what's really limiting the amount of man coverage that we see is because we have all three of those guys that can go and win. And I shouldn't just say those three. The guys that come in after that have really been making plays when they get opportunities as well. And so I think that's really what's limiting the amount of man that we see.
The highlights that everyone talks about are the deep balls to Jamar. Do you feel like you've had those chances and that you've been close in the Browns and in the Raiders game in particular?
The Raiders game didn't have too many chances at that. We took a couple shots, but they played it well. In the Browns game, we had a couple that we would have liked to have back.
What does taking teams out of man do for you? How does that help what you guys can do?
It limits the explosive plays. You have to stay more patient, and it really opens up the run game. you know, that's what's great about our offense. We can do a lot of different things and win a lot of different ways.
The way,
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
the way Zach walked you guys through the start last week, had everything laid out, how the game was exactly going to go. It played out that way. Does that show that he's evolving too? I mean, he's a young coach. Does it show like he's learning too and adjusting, and he's kind of going through an evolution as well?
You know, that's probably a question for him. I know we all love Zach and are really excited about all the people we have in the building. Zach's been great since I got here, and I really couldn't have asked for a better situation having Zach, Brian, and Pitch as, you know, the three guys that I'm able to talk through and talk plays through and talk about defenses. So it's been a great situation.
When you're seeing zone, Joe, are you throwing, by definition, throwing more to spaces as opposed to throwing to your receivers?
Yeah, a lot more timing oriented. And that comes with reps. You know, you understand that they're all looking at your eyes, so you try to manipulate guys in certain ways where in man, you know, you're really just waiting on somebody to win. So it's a different mindset.
Did you think you'd be running this much fewer empty sets than you were maybe a year ago? At the start of the season, that y'all wouldn't be running empty as much as y'all do?
You know, I knew we would be a different team. I knew we would want to establish the run more, and, you know, we're getting pretty good at it. You know, it kind of just depends on the game. You know, certain games, if things aren't going well, we'll get an empty and sling it around, and in other games we'll get in 13 personnel and run the ball. It just depends on the kind of game.
The throw you made, the first snap of the second half, the play action to Jamal, is that a throw that you could have made last year? I mean, it just seemed like, you know, you talked about kind of being with your back to the defense, and you didn't do a lot of that. Was that a throw that you could have made last year?
It's a throw that I could have made. I don't know if it's a throw that I would have attempted. Just me being more confident in my arm and what I'm seeing. You know, that's a throw that we talk about a lot, that we want to be aggressive to make. And, you know, it's a tight window. I was able to squeeze it in there.
Again, in 2 weeks, you guys could have gotten flexed into a night game against the Charger potentially, and I guess they did Denver and Kansas City instead. Do you care about that stuff? Do you view that as almost like disrespect, like, what, you want to put me in prime time against Herbert, or is that something that you feed off of at all?
No, I don't care about any of that. I'll play it at 6 a.m. in the middle of the field somewhere. I don't care.
Do you like this team being viewed as maybe under the radar still a little bit? Do you feel like that's the case?
No, we don't talk about that too much. It is what it is. We're not too worried about it. We're not worried about controlling what we can control.
We don't talk about Stanley Morgan a lot, but he's grown into a role. What do you like about him and his approach?
Stanley's everybody's favorite player on the team. He doesn't get any love from you guys and from across the country because nobody sees what he does, but he runs down on special teams, makes a play every single game, and then when we ask him to come in there, he comes and blocks his tail off for other guys to make plays. So, you know, Stanley's one of the core players on this team that, you know, I don't know what kind of team we are without Stan.
How impressed were you with Stanley, Tyler Boyd, T, tight ends, everybody blocking on that perimeter running game? I know it was a pretty good exhibition they put on. How impressed were you with that?
You know, that's something that not a lot of receivers will do, and that's what I love about our guys is they're excited about catching 50, 60-yard touchdowns, and they get just as fired up about, you know, pinning defensive end to let Joe run outside. So that's the kind of guys they are.
How much do you keep up with other quarterbacks in your draft class and how they're doing? I mean, is that something you kind of keep tabs on at all?
I follow most of the quarterbacks across the league.
Is that something where when you're tracking your development, are you looking at how they're, I mean, how do you go about that, saying, okay, this is where they're at this point? You know, how do you go about measuring all of that and how it correlates to you, if anything?
No, I don't compare anybody to myself. You know, I like to see other people do well. It's fun watching quarterbacks get better and play better every game of the week. But I'll never compare somebody to myself. I just like seeing people do well.
How difficult is Cam Hayward to go up against? I know a lot of the talk when you talk about the Steelers is always about T.J. Watt, but from your perspective, how much does Cam Hayward change the game for them?
He is what makes it tough to run the ball against them inside because, I mean, he's been one of the best players in the league for a long time, and, you know, he's tough to block. That's why he's still around.
with how well you guys called how it was gonna play out, how's it gonna play out this week? It would seem like with Watt back, could it be the same kind of style of game we saw in Vegas?
I don't know. We'll see. That's probably a little too early to tell.
You got a favorite Thanksgiving football memory or most memorable one?
No, not really. I mean, I guess, I used to, Thanksgiving, maybe I would go in the backyard and throw around with my dad a little bit, because normally it was getting close to basketball season, and I was probably missing football a little bit, so we'd go back out there and throw it around a little bit, but other than that, not too many.
Another position group that probably doesn't get as much love as they should is the tight end group, how they do all the dirty work, as well as, CJ's been real productive with his ratio of touchdowns to receptions. What's your appraisal of how they've played so far?
They always understand exactly what we want out of a route, and obviously what they do in the run game, we couldn't do it without them. So we got a great room of tight ends that are unselfish guys that make plays when their opportunities are called.
What kind of season do you think T. Higgins is having so far? I know you were pretty high on him going into the year about having kind of a breakout year. What kind of year do you think he's having?
He's having a great year. Everyone likes to look at the stats. Stats don't matter. T makes plays when his opportunity is called, and T blocks his ass off in the run game. T's going to be a great player for a long time. We're excited to have him.
Is getting him more opportunities the next evolution of this offense?
No, I've always said that I throw the ball where the defense tells me to. I don't worry about, in man you look at matchups, but other than that, I worry about what the defense is presenting. I throw the ball there, and whoever gets the most catches gets the most catches, and that's what's great about those guys is they don't care.
Is that, go ahead.
Do you anticipate Pittsburgh to play Chase differently than you did the first time you guys lit him up for a couple of touchdown passes? And, there's been an evolution of how defense has been, addressing Chase's abilities. What do you think?
I don't know. We'll see. Always have to be ready for the wrinkles that other teams show. So, we'll be ready for whatever they present.
You got a favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I'm definitely a ham guy. I'm not a turkey guy. But my favorite is probably pumpkin pie. Big pumpkin pie guy.
This is kind of a weird question. Did you get asked to be in the Heisman House commercials? I haven't seen you in any of those. The other guys are in them, and I'm like wondering if they reached out to you about it.
Lordstown. I'm a Lordstown Motors guy. Lordstown Motors.
So, Joe, actually, on a serious note, so are you still actually rep with Lordstown?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Excited about it too.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.